Briefly, let's be a little bit more careful with identifiers and literals. Expressions like 27 and hello in quotes are literals because they literally mean exactly what they say. That's distinguished from variables whose value can change and whose value is not directly determined intrinsically by their name. Now, the sequence of characters that we use to form the name is hopefully something meaningful, but again, the value can change. And there are some restrictions. I've just used some simple words for names of identifiers, but let's look at them. Characters must be letters, digits, and also the underscore. And they can't start with a number. In particular, that means punctuation and blanks are not allowed. Furthermore, in order to make up the Python language, certain identifiers or words are taken by Python. So you can't use these for identifiers. And you can see the list here. We'll talk about, I don't know, maybe half of them in the Python tutorial here, but there's the list of identifiers you can't use. Now, if we get into editing in the idle editor, this is made simpler by the fact that all the reserved words come out in a special color. Basically, if your identifier looks black in idle, you're covered. If it doesn't, you're not. Another thing about identifiers is they are case sensitive. These different cases for last here all are different variables. You've got to be careful about your use of capital letters. Again, remember the alt/ shortcut that I told you about for completing variable names. That'll make sure you get something that you've used before and not some variation. The use of capitalization here brings us to something else. Although all of these are useful, Python doesn't care which one you use as long as you're consistent. What's good for humans is another thing. You might think of something price at opening, which is 3 words, and you'd normally put a space in between the 3 words. But if you want to make an identifier, blanks are illegal. One option is to dump the blanks and get price at opening. But that can be really hard for you to see where the word breaks come. There are 2 practical options for highlighting the different words but not making an illegal identifier. One is we can replace a blank by an underscore. That's probably the most obvious. It's for a fairly long identifier here, but we can easily see that where the underscores are that we need a space, that these are different words. Another approach that I tend to use is camel case. Since we tend to use lowercase letters, we can give a special meaning to uppercase letters. The convention is that for an identifier, the first letter is lowercase, but the beginnings of each later word is uppercase. Hence the bumps in the middle, and I guess the source of the name camel case. Depending on who you're working with, you may have specific conventions about which approach you use. That's a matter of taste. See who you're working with and what people like.